Oliver, I lived for 20 years almost in New York, and the experience turned me into a pizza snob. So I am thoroughly puzzled why Domino's Pizza here in the UK managed 15% like-for-like sales growth in its most recent reported quarter. That is not pizza that any snob like myself would eat. What is behind all this success?
Well, perhaps in the UK we're just not quite so snobbish, but there's a few other things going on behind Domino's fantastic sales growth. This was a third quarter number, partly because the weather in the third quarter wasn't so good over the summer here. Cold, wet weather means people sit inside and eat pizza.
It's the rare weather excuse that is not excuse for bad results.
Yeah.
It's an explanation for good results.
It's an explanation for good results, and I think probably a fairly reasonable one. The other thing that the company talks a lot about is the move to digital. Now, being able to order online just by itself doesn't necessarily mean that sales will rise. But it turns out that when it comes to Domino's, people who order online tend to order more frequently, and they also tend to order more. So as well as ordering the pizza, they'll order themselves a dessert and a side order and a drink. You can order films off the website.
And there's a certain logic to this, right? Because ordering pizza is the ultimate expression of human laziness. So if an app makes it incrementally easier, people are going to use it more rather than flipping through the phone book, figuring out the local pizza guy, calling in, and
Absolutely.
so on.
So they take market share off the local pizza guy who doesn't have an app, and potentially off the supermarkets whose fast food offerings require you to interact with a microwave oven.
So 15% like-for-like growth. Is it flowing through into earnings?
Well, a lot of it will, and earnings are doing very well. Not all that sales growth necessarily goes through to Domino's revenues itself. That 15% is like-to-like sales growth across the Domino's system. Now, the reason it's slightly different is that Domino's is a franchise business. So the quoted company owns the master franchise, so-called, for the UK, but all the stores are operated by franchisees.
Yes.
So the franchisees are getting 15% like-for-like sales growth.
Yes. They then pay a royalty up to the master franchisee.
Yeah. But also buy their food from the master franchisee. So sales growth at the company itself is slightly below that, although their earnings growth has been fairly impressive over the last sort of half year.
So I am perfectly capable of liking the stock without liking the pizza. Does Lex like the stock? It's a rare retail consumer brand these days that is showing strong sales growth. Are we buyers here?
Well, it's not cheap. Certainly the valuation is up sort of 26, 27 times forecast earnings. So this is not a cheap stock. That said, it's a similar sort of valuation to Domino's in the US, which is the sort of the original and master business, and also Papa John's, which is another listed pizza business. Not cheap, but then it is growing very quickly. And if we can keep that sales growth going, then it doesn't need the valuation to move up any higher.
But we might be more comfortable paying that kind of multiple for the ultimate parent company rather than franchisee.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the ultimate parent company also owns businesses, it has its own franchises, but it receives all the royalties from all the Domino's businesses around the world. So it does have that bit more defensiveness than anything further down the chain has.
Thanks, Oliver.